Was it me? I think it was Chuck.
What?
Okay, I'm going to call to order the November 23rd, 2020 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting of Boulder City, Nevada. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first order of business is public comment. Hearing no one calling in and seeing no one in the audience, we'll move on to our first agenda item. And that is to approve the minutes from our last meeting of September 28th, 2020. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve those? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Second item is pertaining to the Boulder City Municipal Golf Course and the operational reports for that. Any discussion on those operational reports? A motion to approve those reports?
I'll move to move.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And we'll move on to a verbal report from Director Hall on the Muni Golf Course.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The municipal golf course is in great shape and is doing very well within the COVID limits. You know, people are playing at an increased rate. We still have issues with one person per cart, and we'll be looking into replacing the cart fleet at Muni and Boulder Creek, and we're going to go to City Council for approval during the CIP process. The carts are in 7 years old, they're in bad shape, and they need to be replaced. So we're looking at some different concepts to possibly leasing and to replace those. Course is in great shape, as I said. It's nice and green. With the weather getting colder, I'm sure it'll start turning to the winter shade. But I think people realize it's in such great shape, and we're getting a ton of play out there at the creek. Not so much at Boulder City, at the Boulder Creek, but at Boulder City Municipal, it is very, very crowded. So that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Our next action item is
I want to make a comment here.
Go ahead.
Go
Can I
ahead.
make a comment?
Go ahead.
Roger, I agree with you on the shape of the course. It's beautiful, especially the municipal course. And just playing around town, I've only played one other place a couple times, but the comments about the municipal course are excellent. People from Henderson and Vegas really like playing on that course. Certainly for the money, it's the best deal going around. And the course is in as good or better shape as any place I've seen in town. So congratulations, job well done. You guys have really made it nice out there.
Well, Turf Tech has done a great job in getting it ready. It really helped taking it out of play for 2 weeks when we overseeded. We were able to do some projects, as I mentioned before. But just having the traffic off while we grow the grass is very important, and we're showing the benefits right now.
One other question, those single-use carts or the motorcycle-looking jobs, have they worked out very well? I don't see a lot of them in play.
Well, I know Andy rented those because we were having the problem when the COVID hit. There was a lot of restrictions on the carts. We only have X amount of carts, and if you only allow one person per cart, unless it's a family member, then you're really putting the stress on the fleet of 100 carts. And we run out of carts, and we wait for, we have to block off a time on the tee sheet while the carts come back in where we can sanitize them and get them back into play. And so Andy rented those, and we entered into an agreement with those with his own money to do this, and it's working out very well. It's taken some of the pressure off the regular cart, and it gives a single rider a chance to experience the golf course.
I have a question regarding the lease. Are we at the end of our current lease, Roger, or with the golf carts? We're at the end of our current lease? Because we're leasing them now.
Well, I think, Julie?
We actually had a 3-year lease, and it started for Muni, I want to say 2014, I believe, is when it started. So we paid for 3 years, and then we own them now. So what happens, the longer that we have them, the more expensive they become because of the repairs that are needed, the batteries that we need to replace, the windshields that we need to replace. So there comes a time where it's not the most financially responsible thing to keep putting money into these older vehicles. It's time to start the process and get new carts back out there again and lease them again. So as of right now, we are not leasing them. It's been a couple of years since we've had to make that lease payment. We own the carts that are currently there.
Okay.
Any further questions, comments? Okay, we'll move on to our third action item regarding the Recreation Division. We need to approve those operational reports. Any discussion on those operational reports? Motion to approve them.
I move to approve.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion carries. So we'll move on to verbal report from Program Coordinator Jennifer Spinkling. There she is.
Here I am. Hi there. We've been so busy in the office doing COVID appointments that that's about all I could think about that we've been doing and what's been going on. But that's just a little sidebar of what we do. Our Tiny Tots is still going great. We have 25 kids in the morning class and 13 in the afternoon. And today was Crazy Hair Day, which was perfect for today, Monday. The one teacher had curls that were like a mohawk. It was adorable. So they're continuing just to be creative and keep that program going. And I think all the kids and parents really enjoy it. Our Safe Key program, we're doing just the afternoons, and we probably have between 5 and 12 kids every afternoon. We had a few that were out with the sniffles, no COVID, but kind of went to where we didn't have as many kids there for about a week, but it's back up. We still have the youth center closed because school's not in session, and I told you all about Debbie retired, so eventually we hope to find a new coordinator for that facility. As far as some new classes, we just started boot camp a week ago, and she's already got 5 people that have signed up. It meets Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday in the morning, and then Wednesday and Friday in the evening. We're going to be starting yoga hopefully by the 1st of December. She's ready to go, and she has students. We're just getting her flyers ready to go. She's going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the DWP. And Bill, the dog obedience instructor, just had his first class since COVID canceled him, and he has 12 students. So he's going really strong. And our art center is kind of status quo. We still got classes going. Got one pottery class, and the Art Guild really hasn't had a lot of activity either, so just our classes are going currently at the Art Center, but they're all happening, so that's good. And we have kids art on Thursday afternoons, and that's just began again, so that's going well. And that's about all I have to report. Do you have any questions for me?
It looks like financially through October relatively good month this year, right?
I don't know as far as comparing to a year ago, but as we keep moving along, each month we do have more and more.
Am I reading that right, Julie? the October figures? I mean, if I am reading it right, it looks like it's about the best month since this thing happened, and that's kind of impressive where we are with the virus right now.
Yes, I do believe that we have been adding and building. So hopefully we aren't taking too many steps back with our break that we're taking, our 3-week pause. I couldn't remember the word, sorry. So yes, I do feel like people were feeling more comfortable. Mary's class has record numbers. She had to tell me I had to put a limit on it now, which that, she's never asked me to do that before. That's the functional fitness class. So.
It must be a difficult situation with everything going on.
Yes, when you feel like you're, like you notice, kind of making strides and moving forward to then feel like you're taking a few steps back and making changes, it's always, you know, after the governor speaks, then we're all figuring out what exactly it all meant and how it affects our programs.
So, given the governor's recent comments, is that changing your programs? And I would say if Kelly and Cherie, when you guys come up, if that has any impact, has had an impact on your programs, we'd like to hear about that. But.
Not so much anything that I've got going, except for the masks having to be worn all the time. Before, like with the fitness center, we are lowering the amount of occupancy at the fitness center to 25%, and I believe it'll be eight people at any one time, not including the staff. And so that's a change there. The capacity for Mary's class is still way under the allowable in there. So the sports were the things that I believe were most affected, and specific on tournaments, they've changed to 50 people capacity from the 250. So that was a big change.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
Nobody else? Thank you. Appreciate it, Jen.
Thank you.
Our next action items are regarding the aquatic division, and we need to approve those operational reports.
Chairman, before we do that, I think there's agenda item, maybe C and D still.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Thank you.
I don't want you to skip the best parts.
That's right. I should have seen Kelly coming around with the documents in her hand to start with. So anyway, we'll back up and get a verbal report from Sports Coordinator Kelly Lair. Thank you, Kelly.
So at the last meeting that we saw you, we were operating our soccer league in pods for K through 8th grade. And we unfortunately had to cut the offering short by 1 day on 2 of the age groups and 2 days for the other 2 due to a COVID threat within families and siblings that were in our program. We decided it was in our best interest to cancel the remaining clinics and test all of our employees prior to initiating another program we were starting, which was football and volleyball. Our staff all reported negative, and the scare was contained to just the 2 families, thankfully. We've just been operating with an abundance of caution. And so this new governor directive doesn't change my clinics much at all. I don't have 50 people on the field, and I don't have spectators. Currently, our office has enrolled 40 flag football players and 31 co-ed sand volleyball players that's a new league that we're offering this fall. They've been participating in the same group clinic-style lessons of no more than 8 people. And I gave you what I submitted to the Department of Business and Industry. It's pretty extensive. They turn you down, and then you've got to fix it, and you've got to send it back. And we were approved, as you can see, for the outdoor flag football, and it's really no more than 8 kids on those pods, and we're playing 5-on-5 with the 6-foot social distancing. They're wearing masks when they come in, and they go through the screening process, and they get their temperatures taken. No spectators, no parents on the field at all. My staff is wearing masks, and the numbers are low. They're lower than they've normally been, and you can see that. In the October, from year to year, it's really low, but we're doing something. And the kids that have the parents that really want them to do something are very thankful that we're offering that. I did try and submit the same thing for volleyball. I've submitted it 3 times and I have been declined. And I think that people are just scared of being inside. So we're keeping the kids outside. They only have 2 more days of volleyball. It's just getting cold. And so you'll see I have some pictures I'll send around. The kids have long sleeve shirts that they got for the volleyball clinics, and they love it. It's just something we haven't offered before, so these kids are learning a different sport. With the threat of closure imminent, the pandemic scaring parents away, we're debating about offering a kindergarten through 2nd outdoor ball hockey league at one of our outdoor basketball courts, such as Hemingway or ABC, where it's gated around. Jamie and I are considering 10 one-hour clinics for that age group, kindergarten through 2nd. And it would be operating on the league's traditional Saturday mornings starting in January, which will be cold, but some of the parents just want their kids to get outside, especially since they're not going to school. We're working in a limited capacity. We have few options. I have few staff members. Some of those staff members that I'm utilizing now, they will go back to doing their sports and possibly doing this hybrid school for Clark County School District starting in January. So I will lose a lot of them during my weekend or during my weeknights. So the weekends will work real well for me. Jamie and I just continue to think outside of the box until these restrictions are lifted and just try and keep our community with something that they can look forward to for these kids. Recently, we were renting our outdoor facilities, baseball primarily, for tournament seekers. There are very few fields in Henderson and Las Vegas, and so they were coming out here. They had to also get approved by the Department of Business and Industry for their tournaments, but the governor's pause directives have ceased those rentals for the next 3 weeks. So you can see on some of our financial reports that that was some money that was coming in for the rentals. Vegas Valley Rentals and our Little League teams are renting our fields for games. And so until we're told otherwise, they're operating with the maximum of 50 people on the field. So it's just their kids on the team and the umpires and the coaches, and they're not to exceed 50. So Tuesdays and Thursdays at Wayland is when the single games are going on for Vegas Valley, and then Mondays through Thursdays through December 17th are the Little League, and it's a 16U team and an 18U team, and it facilitates our kids in town, and they play other kids in Henderson and Vegas. For adult sports, the gymnasium is still being utilized by local adult pickleballers who are sponsored by the Boulder Dam Credit Union through this December. Dave Wright kind of spearheaded recently approaching Eric Estes from the credit union and asking about the renewal of the sponsorship for 2021. And he told me verbally he talked to Eric and Eric was happy to do it. So I just have to coordinate with Eric. Right now, players are limited to the 12 people in the gym. They have 3 courts. They, as of tomorrow, must wear face coverings of some kind when they are playing. As before, once they came in and they started working out or playing, they could take it off. But now the covering mandate, they have to have it on the entire time. We constantly disinfect between groups, and we don't allow spectators in there. So the maximum amount in there is 12, and that's it. Jamie and I are also currently in the process of submitting the same paperwork to the Department of Business and Industry for some type of adult co-ed softball in the spring, and hopefully over the line, which we attempted a little taste of that in the fall, and people really liked that, and it's less people. It could be 3 to 4 people on a team playing. Our hope is to get approval for that for a late February, early March, if COVID allows us to. I've also currently notified the men's basketball league managers or our historic groups that have used our gym for basketball and informed them that we will not be hosting a winter basketball league because it usually starts in January. It would start right after the new year this year. And we are awaiting more information and guidance to see if submitting a proposal for women's spring volleyball, which would start in March, with no spectators would be worth the trouble of the paperwork and the submittal process. I'm gonna just keep trying. I'm just going to keep submitting, and then we just reel it back in. We just kind of go day to day, and we wait for the governor's directives, and then I just have to make a lot of phone calls. But I want to operate where I'm offering our community something. So that's about it for my report. Do you have any questions?
Kelly, I just have one. The football, flag football, is that in Veterans Park?
It is. It's
In
at
the afternoon?
Pratt Field. And we do that on Mondays and Wednesdays. So when I'm done here, I'll go down. And it's co-ed. And we do have half and half, boys and girls. It's going very well.
So the high school doesn't have football this year? Or at
They
least-
don't, when we were setting up for soccer and football, there were kids from the high school that were going down to Pratt and they were playing two-hand touch, just using our field as a park. And I was not saying anything, they were just doing it to have fun. So it was a large group of kids who on their own went down to play.
Okay,
I
that's
did
what
make calls to ask about coaches because they're not supposed to have contact with those kids. And me being down there setting up, there were no adults, it was just the kids playing.
So that's what I noticed down there, not necessarily your group.
Right. My
was
kids are little. It's just a little smattering of little guys. 3rd through 5th, and then 6th through 8th is the second group.
Oh, yeah. Because I noticed that there was no social distancing and no masks that I could see on these. And it looked like the high school football team.
And I have asked Foothill High School to leave our Pratt Field a couple times. So
Yeah.
they were looking for open fields, and I've had to ask them to leave.
That's a difficult situation. Thank you.
Any other questions? Carla?
Remind us again what over the line is.
So over the line is usually played in the sand. It's a hitting game. So your own team soft tosses to you and you hit it, and it has to go over a line, but you're trying to hit it over the opponent's heads. If they catch it, you're out. If they don't catch it, it's considered a base hit. If you hit it over their head, it's a home run, and you just keep score. So 3 outs, you switch it out. And we played with 4 people. We had some groups of old timers, so they appreciated the 4 instead of the 3. And it's only half of the softball field. So we had no spectators. We had 8 people out there. And then my staff just kept score, so we had no umpires.
Thank you.
Any others? Thank you, Kelly. And now a verbal report from Manager Julie Calloway on the admin items.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As you can see by the special events master list that I provided for everyone, we have a lot of cancellations. As Jennifer was saying, a couple steps forwards, a couple steps back. We have had more requests for special events, but with the recent pause that was announced yesterday by the governor, even some of those events have had to be canceled. Tournaments and any events that had expected occupancy over 50 were all needing to cancel for the next 3 weeks. So you can kind of see what's on the horizon as far as that goes. Hopefully it's just temporary. Our office staff has been extremely busy scheduling COVID tests for the community, and we did open it up to Clark County residents as well. Last week, we scheduled over 330 appointments just for last week, and then had to provide all the necessary paperwork as well. The phones today ringing off the hook, and unfortunately, we had to let people know that we didn't have any more space available for tomorrow's testing. A lot of local testing facilities don't have appointments that are available the next couple of days. So community and Clark County residents are really, struggling to find where they can go, and as soon as possible where they can go for testing. So the next available for in Boulder City will be next Tuesday, that we'll be offering at the fire department, and that will continue through the month of December. So that is the update with that. We do have some hopeful, exciting news coming tomorrow night. An agenda item in front of City Council will be a joint use agreement with Clark County for them to facilitate paying for the expansion of Hemingway Park. So we're very excited about that. We had plans done last spring for a nature trail to be added to Hemingway, and applied for grant funding for it and we were not approved. However, one of the Clark County commissioners, Commissioner Gibson, liked the project and put forth funding requests from Clark County to be able to pay for that project. So it'll be a joint use agreement between the City of Boulder City and Clark County. And hopefully we'll have approval from our City Council tomorrow night so that we can move forward on that project. With everything kind of being a little bit doom and gloom, the Parks and Recreation Department is very excited to be able to help Santa out this year, since Santa and Mrs. Claus are quarantined until December 24th. He's reached out to us to see if we might be able to help facilitate getting local kids letters straight to the North Pole. So beginning tomorrow morning, we will have a beautiful red mailbox located outside of the Parks and Recreation office. It'll be out there during business hours, so Monday through Thursday normally, and it'll be there for local kids to be able to drop off letters to Santa. And again, we have a direct line to the North Pole, so we'll be able to make sure that Santa gets those letters in time for the holiday season. So that's something we're really excited about. Advertising for that promotion will go out tomorrow on social media. Other than that, we're looking forward to next year starting, to be quite honest. So, any questions?
The only question I have is the tree lighting obviously canceled, right?
Well-
Virtual this year?
Well, so the tree will be lit. However, we won't be having a big celebration surrounding
And
it.
no parade.
No parade, unfortunately, no. We're just trying to get through this cycle.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Anyone else?
I'll just address your question. I know the chamber's trying to do something virtually for that. So, yeah, they're trying, but it's all virtual, no crowds, no anything like that.
Good news is Christmas is still on. Anything else? Okay, our next item is the Aquatic Division operational reports. Do we have any discussion on those reports? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve those reports?
I move.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, and we'll hear a verbal report from Cherie Brennan. Thank you, Cherie.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
All right. Well, we are still in operation at the pool, and despite COVID restrictions, our numbers are pretty strong. Typically in the winter, some of our numbers go down anyway, because not everybody wants to come out when they feel that it's cooler weather, specifically like our morning aerobics classes. But I think that despite being only open 4 days a week and the various restrictions in place, that we have pretty good patronage going on. We still require reservations made ahead of time for lap swimming, open swim, and classes, of course. We have finally a pool maintenance worker who knows a lot. So his name is Corey Caven, and he was previously facilities manager at MGM Grand. He's knowledgeable in many areas, pumps, HVAC, all kinds of things. He just needs to learn a little more about our gravity-fed DE system. But it's been great having somebody else there, and he knows far more about the overall the way pools work than I do. So that's fabulous, and I have several projects that I have lined up for him to help out on and fix or improve. So at our last time, I said I wasn't worried about lifeguards and staffing the pool. However, the story's changed a little bit. I had about 4 who are moving on, and this is a good thing, and this is just part of working with this age of youth, moving on to jobs that are more in line with what they want to do in life after, they graduate or whatnot. So I will be hiring, and I do have 2 interviews lined up for Wednesday, so that's good. I think classes are going well, and we've expanded our offerings a little bit. At the beginning of November, we're now offering some beginning lessons with a teacher in the water. They are wearing a clear face shield. We're limiting our class sizes to help kind of keep the kids separated as much as you can with kids. So far, those went for the most part, other than the situation you were asking about earlier. We've had, parents want more. Like Kelly was saying, many parents are eager for something for their kids to do. So for us to be able to offer a few more swimming lessons is a good thing, and trying to do it in a careful and, restricted, safe way. As I mentioned, our numbers often go down in the cooler months, and this month we only had enough water aerobic registrations for 1 class. And we would have had an evening class, but I lost an instructor. So if there's anyone that's looking for a little very part-time job that's interested in water aerobics, we could add that person to the evenings. Bubble Up went very well. We completed the job with just city staff and didn't hire anyone from a temp agency. And the filtration pit, you should have that page of pictures in your packet of the work. I had about 6 pictures on a page like this, so you can see what it used to look like with sandbags and broomsticks in there. And then with all the filter leaves removed, and they started the framework. There's one with a couple of the men working in there, putting the new leaves in. Down here, completed and operating, the water's in there. And then in addition, some new valves were added to the return lines so that we now have the capability of isolating some of this section. There's these paddle wheels, flow meters here, that previously we had to be completely shut down to access and clean those out. Now we have these additional valves, and we can turn off a water line temporarily and clean that out and then return to operation again. And we even got some new steps down into the filter pit, so that was a very nice addition. Another thing that they did while we were closed is took out a lot of the old HVAC ductwork and big unit up there. So the mechanical room looks beautiful. My husband thinks it's funny when I say that because he's seen what it looks like, but it does look beautiful. We had the heater, the pool heater, acid pump, chlorine pump, and the chemical controller were all serviced on November 6th. Everything's good to go. Just routine maintenance, basically. And with our liquid chlorine pump, we do have a cracked pump head, and I've ordered the part, and Corey, our new man, is going to put that in for me. And then lastly, in light of our pause, I'm not sure how we'll be affected, but we were just talking about having a special event on the 12th of December, calling it something like Swim with Buddy the Elf and Help Children in Need. And the idea was one of our guards has agreed to dress up like Buddy the Elf from the movie Elf, and have people donate items, whether it's clothes, crayons, books, a toy, and get to swim for $1. Sierra the assistant coordinator, has spoken with administrators from the schools and gotten the names of families in need. So we know specific gender and age, and compiling a list of what people can donate. So we may have to rework what we do with that. So I think that's all I have for now. Are there any questions?
Mike? Carla? Tom? No questions. Thank you, Sheree.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now a verbal report from Director Hall on the Municipal Pool Ad Hoc Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tomorrow night at the City Council meeting, item number 7 are matters pertaining to the Municipal Pool Ad Hoc Committee. And staff is requesting the City Council consider extending the term of the Pool Committee and approving resolutions number 7187. The Municipal Pool Ad Hoc Committee was established in September of 2019 to review alternatives for the repair, construction, and finance of the current pool or to replace it. Resolution 6984 states the committee shall submit recommendations to the City Council no later than May 31st of 2020, and the committee dissolves after the November 2020 election. At the time, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the committee did not meet from March of 2020 to August of 2020, and the duties of the committee outlined in Resolution 6984 have not been fulfilled. And at the October 2020 meeting, the members voted unanimously to recommend to City Council to extend the term of the committee to March 31st of 2021. And so the Parks and Rec Department is requesting that City Council approve Resolution 7187 to do that.
So they won't be reappointing new members, it'll be those existing members, is that the idea?
That's correct, yeah. They're just extending it to March of 31st of 2021.
Thank you.
Yep. And then I have one more thing, if I may.
Sure.
On December 8th, the City Council meeting, they will be hearing item number 9 on the agenda in regards to the municipal general election ballot. So item number 9 is matters pertaining to the ballot questions to be presented to the voters during the 2021 municipal primary election, or excuse me, the 2021 June municipal general election. So we have 3 items on there. Resolution number blank, a resolution to City Council placing a question on the June 2021 ballot, asking voters approval to use $7 million from the Capital Improvement Fund for funding an aquatic center. Item number B is resolution of the City Council placing a question on the 2021 June municipal general ballot, asking voter approval to annually transfer $1 million from the Capital Improvement Fund to a pool reserve account for the purpose of funding an aquatic center, and such transfer shall sunset by December 31st of 2029, or at such time the construction of the aquatic center is completed, whatever comes first. And then, let's see, I think that's it. Two questions on the ballot. That's a good sign. That's a good.
Any questions or comments for Director Hall on those topics? Okay, and our 5th action item is also from Director Hall regarding Bootleg Canyon mountain biking and aerial trail system.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, the aerial trail system or zip line at Bootleg Canyon is still closed for business. I did see Bryna the other day, the general manager, and she looked very happy, but it's still closed. We're trying to approve bike races following the CDC guidelines and governor's mandates. The basic guideline is you can have an event, but it has to be 50 people or less. Your staff to run the event is not included as part of the number 50. So we have people that want to have races up there, but we have to follow what the governor says and to protect the residents of Boulder City and to protect the mountain bikers who are participating. That is the end of my report.
Thank you. Anything else? Any questions or comments?
One question. So Roger, the average event up there is probably far more than 50 people, bike racing. Is that right?
Normally before COVID, yes. Oh yeah. The way we've been doing it, and we got approval from the state to do this, is that if you have an event and you have X amount of people, say it's 50 people, you can have 50 people up there and have your event. You have to have a separation of time between the one wave and the other wave. So for example, if I started off at 8 to 9, at 9 o'clock, I wouldn't have anybody come in until 10. That means that the people in the first wave would have a chance to get in their cars, not congregate and get out of there, and then the new wave comes in at an hour later or an hour and a half later. And that prevents, the groups of people over 50 from getting together.
Wow, complicated though.
Yeah, it has complicated the situation, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you. Next item is commission reports. This is opportunity for commission members to ask questions, discuss matters concerning the Recreation Department. Anyone? Carla, go ahead.
I do. I want to thank Julie for sending out that report on the trees and whatnot at Broadbent Park. And I'm just wondering what the plan of attack is regarding that. When, if at all, you're going to take down the trees that they recommended and
So what we've done is the landscape department, along with an arborist, has gone throughout parks in the city and has earmarked those trees that are the most in need of being removed based on their age and their condition and safety more than anything. As we found out when we pulled the trees out in front of the rec center, their interior, much of it was hollow, and the next big storm could have taken it down, and at any point in time could have damaged a car that was parked there or worse. So we're trying to have a proactive approach to removing these dead trees while also making sure that we don't take too many out at one time. So it's a systematic approach of identifying the worst trees and going with a mitigation plan accordingly. So that is our process for right now with the trees. And it's primarily landscape that is handling all of that.
okay. So you may not know the answer to this, but are you looking at replacing them with trees about the same type and size of what you put in the front of the rec department?
That would be correct. So we like to get as big as we can based on what our budget is because they're not cheap. But then also keeping in mind what type of root systems they have, what's approved by the Southern Nevada. It's not health district. So what is conducive for growth in our desert climate and that will hopefully grow the fastest to be able to provide that shade that we need, but is also conscientious of us being in the desert.
Because I read the report and then I went through and I circled the ones just for Broadbent Park that they're looking at removing, and it'll be a chunk, but again, after seeing the interior of the ones in front of the rec department, we tend to have some pretty strong winds that cut through here, so. Thank you.
One question. Julie, did your arborist go through Veterans Park also?
I believe that, to my knowledge, that has not been done as of yet. I know that we've earmarked them to be scheduled to go out there because I know we've had some questionable pine trees for sure and some other vegetation. So the goal is eventually to have an arborist kind of go through the entire city and identify those that need to be, removed and replaced. And vets and those pine trees are on our list.
Yeah, I noticed that whatever they've got is kind of spreading around through that area.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple things here. For those of you who haven't been down to Wayland Field, we have a concession building going up there. I have some pictures of the construction. It's almost complete. Could you, thank you, Kelly. Also, some work on the irrigation system for Wayland Field. They put some big pipes in on Wayland Field right before, about 2 weeks ago, I think, 3 weeks ago. So we're ready. I mean, it's a very nice facility, and we can't wait to open it up. And go by and take a look if you see it. It's very well done. Public Works handled the actual bidding, the project, inspection of the project, and the actual getting it done.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, very nice.
I had 2 comments. One, Julie, thanks again for sending out that thing about the trees also. I appreciate being kind of in the loop, and, you know, people will ask occasionally when, you know, think about things like that. So having a heads up was great. I appreciate it. And then the other thing I just want to say is that you guys probably know this, but I'm in Veterans Memorial Park almost every day, sometimes a couple times a day, and there's a dramatic increase in number of people there, you know, on any given day. I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there was 68 people fishing in the pond, the upper pond. That was just, you know, just the pond area, but the rest of the park gets a lot of use, and I'm sure the other parks do too, but that's the one I see the most.
They must have heard that there was a trout plant there.
I'm sure that.
We get quite a few people that go down there when that happens.
Yeah, I'm sure that social media lets people know when the fish are planted.
And I'll say too that has been one of the nice things that has come out of this pandemic is that people have realized, you know, what's right in their backyard that's easily accessible, that everyone can afford, and it's kind of been a little bit of a rebirth of our park system, because it is something that is available to everyone, and you can go just with your family and be able to enjoy nature and all that our parks and our green space have to offer. So it's been kind of nice.
Yeah, I agree.
So we have one of the 9 holes at Boulder Creek does have disc golf. With the current situation with COVID and golf and the requirement for 1 person per golf cart and having too few golf carts, disc golf right now has somewhat taken a back seat because we're packed using our golf carts for golfers. But yes, there is a course up, and we've even had tournaments out there at Boulder Creek.
You got any other questions or comments? Okay, and our last item is public comment. And hearing nobody on the phone and seeing nobody in the audience, I assume there's no public comment. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.